สวัสดีครับ I'm Point from ค้นพบ Today I want to talk about overthinking, overanalyzing, overcontrolling, or we could say brooding about something, obsessing over something, obsessive thinking, ruminating about something over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Why do some people have these sorts of behaviors, and what's the psychology behind it? And therefore, what are the implications, right? Because in many of my videos, I talk about turning inwards to introspect your thoughts, your feelings, and your emotions, and your sensations in order to develop and cultivate awareness and learn about your own mind. But this communication, I find, can be easily misunderstood, so I wanted to clear things up in this video. So let me begin by asking you this. Do you know somebody, perhaps this person could be you yourself, who seems to be a bit of a control freak? Always controlling everything around them. Everything has to be just right the way they want, the way they like. They may be an over-controlling partner. This is especially easy to see and easy to illustrate as an example in the case of relationships, romantic relationships, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, and wife. Somebody may be over-controlling of their partner. Ever known that person? Wherever their boyfriend or their girlfriend, wherever their partner goes, this person demands that partner always send them a text message every half hour telling them where they are, their whereabouts, who they're gonna go meet, who they're gonna go have lunch with, dinner with, what activity they're gonna do, who's gonna be there, are there gonna be any other boys or girls, right? How are you going home? Is that guy who you suspect also has a crush on you, on your girlfriend, going to meet your girlfriend or your boyfriend? And if so, I'm not going to allow that to happen. So I'm sure you've seen this to a greater or lesser extent. What's really going on here? You see, the key is simply this. An individual or somebody who lacks emotional coping skills, emotional self-awareness skills, or in other words, somebody who is, quite frankly, afraid of their own thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and feels and believes that they could not cope with their own negative thoughts, feelings, and emotions, are likely to be in the habit of solving their problem unwisely, right? Unwisely, and that is through over-controlling other people, overthinking everything, overanalyzing everything, brooding about everything, ruminating about everything. You see where I'm going here? So in this case, in the example I'm giving here, a control freak, one of the reasons that could explain their behavior is simply that they want to control everything else around them to be exactly the way that they want, because deep down they fear a rejection. They fear, as just said, rejected, and therefore being unloved. And they fear things not going the way they want. They fear that situation so bad that they believe that they would not be able to cope emotionally or accept the situation if it were to happen. So they desperately try to solve the problem by over-controlling everything else. That's how they compensate for their insecurity. You see what's going on here? So it's a way to compensate for their insecurity, but it's not a healthy way of doing it. Okay. Now, I began by giving this example because I think it's quite easy to see what's going on here. But specifically for this video, I want to talk about overthinking. So let's use this example or twist it a little bit, change it a little bit, change things around a little bit. Let's say in our new example, somebody went on a date with a girl or with a guy that they like or they have a crush on, and it turns out, unfortunately, that they got rejected. Okay. Well, that's fact of life. It can hurt, it can be unfortunate, it can be a disappointment, but that's fact of life, right? Not everything can go the way you want. You might like somebody, but they might not return the same feelings to you. Somebody with a healthy psychology, a healthy sense of self-esteem, a healthy sense of control and power over their own lives, over their own emotions, not over other people, over themselves. Somebody who has a healthy psyche, who is in good mental health, would likely have the perspective and the understanding that that's just fact of life. That's okay. I can deal with this disappointment. I can deal with this rejection. It doesn't feel great, I understand, but that's not the end of the world. I can keep going. I can find eventually I will find a new girl or guy that is a good match for me. So they handle the rejection quite well. This is an example of a healthy, psychologically healthy individual. But what about somebody who feels insecure, who feels that they really fear rejection, who feels and who believes that they could not cope with the fact that somebody had rejected them? Then let's say they end the date and eventually, this other person stops contact with them, and it's quite clear that it's quite a rejection. Okay. This person would tend to overthink about everything. They would revisit the date, the lunch or the dinner or whatever the date was, and look at it from all possible angles. Did I dress wrong? Did I wear the wrong perfume? Did I say something wrong? Was the restaurant not nice enough for her? Blah, 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 blah. Am I not attractive enough? Revisit the situation over and over and over again in an attempt to come to some meaningful conclusion about why the situation played out the way it did and why they got rejected. See, when you overthink things, when you overanalyze things, when you brood about things, when you ruminate about things, it gives the illusion that you will come to a meaningful and a valuable conclusion when in fact it doesn't. It doesn't lead to any meaningful solution. It only causes more and leads to more suffering and feelings of rejection. In other words, by revisiting this event over and over and over again in an attempt to understand what happened, this person ends up creating the feeling of rejection over and over and over again in his or her mind. You see what I'm trying to say here? So, overthinking, brooding, overanalyzing is an attempt to get or to want or to desire some control over the situation when in fact it's just an illusion. It doesn't lead to anything meaningful. And again, the individual in the example I'm describing here, what this person really lacks is they really lack the mental resources, the emotional skills, the emotional awareness skills, the emotional coping skills to be able to cope with and tolerate the feelings of disappointment, the feelings of being rejected in a healthy way. And therefore, from that place, they're better able to move on in their life without creating a phobia or a fear out of the event, without feeling haunted by it, without feeling victimized by it, if you see what I mean. So, again, overanalyzing, overthinking, brooding is really about a person's attempt to get some control over something. But it's not a wise solution. It doesn't lead to anything meaningful. It doesn't even lead to any solution. It is only an illusion that creates more suffering, more pain, and you end up creating disempowering, unhelpful beliefs and conclusions around it. Okay, so this is the nature of brooding and wanting control. You see, the key in life is you want to develop yourself, do your own personal development work to the point where you can rely on yourself because you know that you have the emotional skills and resources to cope with and to tolerate and to handle any challenge or hurdle or difficulty or disappointments that life may throw at you. If you lead life or live life from this perspective or from this position, you are much more empowered. You see what I mean? Now, the next point that I want to emphasize is, therefore, in our videos where we talk about self-awareness and we talk about contemplation, self-reflection, I want to be very clear that awareness is completely different than revisiting some past event or worrying about some future event and just causing yourself to feel stressed out or overwhelmed. Awareness or contemplation or self-reflection is not, I repeat, is not a process. It is not a process of overthinking, of overanalyzing, of brooding, of enumerating. Okay? Self-awareness, or in other words, truly turn inwards and to observe your thoughts and feelings and emotions objectively, without judgment. Just watch them. You will come to learn about the nature of your mind and thinking, and that's one of the objectives of the practice. You will come to see how your thinking gains momentum, and if you're not aware, your mind reacts to your thoughts, and it agitates the mind. And from this momentum, the thoughts now become emotions. You have a negative emotion, you have a bad emotion, and the momentum keeps on going. If you're not aware, you will not see the process going on, and you will feel overwhelmed by it quite easily. Now, if you notice in what I'm describing here, I'm not saying that you must overanalyze every small thing. You must try to look at the past, in this case, the rejection that just happened, say last week or yesterday or whatever. I'm not saying for you to look at the event or the dinner or the date or the lunch from all possible angles to find out the reason why she rejected you. That's not what I'm saying. Okay? That's going to lead you to very quickly work yourself up, create anxiety, create stress, and feelings of being overwhelmed. Okay? Again, it's you desiring and wanting and attempting to get some control or conclusion from the event that just happened, when in fact, it doesn't lead to anything meaningful. So awareness is totally different from this. Right? When we talk about turning inwards, to introspect, to self-reflect, to watch the movements of your thoughts, the patterns that they play out in your mind, how they move and come together to form and create an emotion, and how they come together to create a feeling in your body because you have an emotional reaction, and how these things rise, stay for a while and dissolve, rise, stay for a while and change shapes, change form, change intensities. That's the objective of awareness, is to get a clear perception on what is going on. And out of that comes deeper levels of self-understanding. You begin to see how you create your own emotions, you react to your own emotions, and you cause your own suffering. You begin to understand that your experiences are actually created from within. It is not due to the rejection or outer circumstance that caused your suffering. Yes, the trigger may have indeed been caused by something outside of you, but the experience is always occurring from within through the way you think about it, react to it, and work yourself up and have an emotional reaction. You see what I mean? Overanalyzing something is not going to lead to anything meaningful. Okay? Yes, there is a time and place to think about something strategically and to analyze it, and to therefore revisit the past to learn something from it. But you see, in order to do that, you must come from the right place. That place must come from objectivity. You must be able to be emotionally calm enough to look at what happened in order to gain or draw some lessons from it. And that is the key of our practice. Not to overanalyze, not to brood, not to overthink, okay? But to realize that actually, oh, I'm overthinking again. Oh, I'm overanalyzing again. Oh, I'm brooding again. And that observation or that awareness is what we're after. I see why I'm overthinking. I see why I'm overanalyzing. It's leading me to feel worse, feel more negative, have more emotions and react to those emotions. I don't need to do this. I can just watch objectively without judgment. Okay? And this is the key to the practice. So again, I want to emphasize, to conclude here, that when we talk about turning inwards, or when we mention awareness and mindfulness, we are not talking about overanalyzing or brooding or renumerating over some experience, because that only leads to a false sense of security. It is an illusion that leads you to nowhere meaningful or no real solution. Okay? Awareness, on the other hand, in other words, mindfulness, on the other hand, helps us develop perspective. We're able to step back from our own thoughts and emotions a little bit and watch and observe them objectively without judgment. And that space that we have helps us to de-identify or to not identify with our thoughts. And we come to realize that we are not our thoughts, we are not our emotions. They are just the interplay of a movement of experiences, okay, as many teachers would say. And out of that, you begin to slowly but gradually develop self-understanding based on wisdom, emotional balance, and objectivity, not based on an obsession or a desire to control a situation, which will only lead to you more suffering because you're brooding about something, you're overanalyzing something, and that's not what we want to do. We don't want to do that. Okay? I want to explain this in today's video because I hope it clears things up, and I think it could easily be misunderstood if not explained in a proper context. Okay? I hope this was valuable for you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. สวัสดีครับ